Hello everyone, it's the world's first Poncho Chief here, and I'm joined with Let's Finish the Fight Andy, and we have a special guest as well. This special guest has been a content creator for some time now, being highlighted on Halo Waypoint for his art, not his heart, and also creating videos for his channel for the past year and a half. I'm proud to welcome the Halo Enthusiast, Joseph Truemark. So,
hey everyone. Welcome back.
Welcome back. That's it. Say hello, Andy, so everyone knows you're.
Hello.
There we go. So this podcast is gonna kind of follow the same structure as the first one. We're just gonna kind of have a little chat, go through some questions, get to know each other, get the audience to know us.
So I just want to say thank you to you both for inviting me onto this podcast and question and answer. I really appreciate that you guys have looked at what I've done and think that I'm prominent enough in the community to be worth being interviewed. Yeah,
you're worthy.
Yeah, no, don't mention it. It's a pleasure to have you on, and anyone in the Halo community that has passion for creating content and stuff is always welcome. So,
of course, yeah,
that's good to know.
So do you want to give a little bit of background about kind of what your content is, then, Joseph?
Yeah, sure. So I have a channel which is the Halo Enthusiast, and basically the content there it started off with a sort of kind of trying to help people get better at Halo. I'm not like a champion player or anything, but I've always considered that I have a few systems that I think I can help players with. And it's about just being enthusiastic about Halo. I know Halo's been going through some turbulent times at the moment where people, you've got this split discussion between new Halo and old Halo, and is it even is there even a divide? That kind of thing. Does anyone really know what's going on?
The big question.
Yeah, and I think the community is a bit divided at the moment. And
just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's causing an issue internally with Halo, and kind of what I want my channel to be about is just trying to unite people, trying to get everyone to enjoy, because the thing is I enjoy all the games. Like, I would class myself as maybe more of a classic fan than I am of the new stuff, but I appreciate Halo 4, I appreciate Halo 5, and I think they are really great games. And to be honest, I disagree with people when they say that they're not Halo games, and I think I would disagree with people to even say that they're not good Halo games. I think there's aspects about them that aren't very good, but I also think there's aspects about them that are really, really that really work well. And I think what I'm hoping to cover in my channel in the future is to be able to talk about all of those things, and just try and generate enthusiasm for what Halo can be and what it means to us now and how it can possibly shape going forward. So that's kind of what my channel is all about. And obviously I do the artwork as well, which is just sort of like a bit of an entertainment thing.
Which I absolutely love.
Yeah,
the first thing I noticed was your thumbnails.
Really?
I was gonna say I saw the thumbnails. They're legit. I think that they're the best in the community. Like, it's so unique. I'm guessing you draw them out yourselves, obviously.
I do.
It's so unique. It's really
I do use reference sometimes, like, obviously. But the whole thing about my channel, whole thing about what I do is that I don't want to ever post anything that's not original. Yeah. I might borrow, but I think in your previous podcast you were talking about how hard it is to find fresh content.
Yeah,
and how you can't just look and go, oh yeah, there's a post, I'll post that picture or something like that. And what I want my channel to be, even though I'm not pumping out content sort of like every week or anything, well, maybe not every week, but every day, for example, like some YouTubers do. Unfortunately, I have to go to work. I have a full-time job, but what I want is the quality there. It's something I can be proud of and say I've done everything originally myself. And so when you're looking at it, you know that somebody's put time and effort into it, and that hopefully that that will be reflective of the content that's in the video.
Yeah.
So
you can definitely see that. No, you can definitely see that, especially like in the thumbnails. And I was watching one of your videos yesterday from the latest one, and you can definitely see it. It's really good, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But I'm really glad that you like the thumbnails, because the thing is, to be honest, I've been analysing some of it, and I've been thinking maybe I should change a few things. But the idea of it was to be sort of like a simple, kind of crisp, kind of artsy kind of style, because I see so much of this. I see people. I think they're using Film Source Maker to make sort of images, and they're all kind of like CGI'd, and then they've got big letters everywhere with like neon lighting, and it's like, you know, trying to grab your attention. And I thought, well, maybe the fact that I have something that's just completely different, it might be stand outable. Like somebody might look at it and be like, that looks different. Maybe I'll click on that and see what that's like. I don't know if it's working, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely working, to be honest, because like it looks professional. That's like one of the main things I noticed is, you know, like my thumbnails. I mean, I've not been making YouTube videos for that long. I've like literally only like a month or so. My thumbnails is always one of the hardest things for me, I think, to try and make different and stand out, because that's the first point of call for when someone sees your video, is they're going to see the thumbnail first. And like I said, the first thing I noticed with your videos really was the fact that the thumbnails were so professional. That kind of leads me to believe that the content will be professional and that it'll be of high standard, which it is. But that's reflected in the thumbnails. So yeah, it's definitely
now, I was going to say, to just carry on your point, because I think it's a really good point. I think a lot of YouTubers, for respect, have a lot of like these huge arrows and these huge circles, and like, look here, look there. It's just really annoying. And she's kind of like, I don't need a huge arrow like pointing to Master Chief. Yeah, like I know who Master Chief is. I don't need his huge arrow pointing there. It's like his face. And I think legit, like how you do it is just perfect. Again, like I need to say again, it's just unique. It's really good. I've never seen anyone else do something like that.
Well, I really sat down and thought about it, because the thing is, I've got a schedule that I work to, and so I've got some content that I want to tick off and say, I want, you know, like this video needs to get done, that video needs to get done, and it takes me as long as it takes me. But what I tried to do was figure out, actually, for every video that I have, I wanted there to be a particular style to the thumbnail, so you can tell what series that is in. So
yeah, no, I noticed that. Yeah.
So say like I release another video and it's in a certain thumbnail style. Anybody who's been watching my channel can then go, oh, so this video is going to be like this, or this video is going to be like that. I haven't actually done any playlists yet, which I'm planning on doing. So the idea is to put all those in a playlist. So and I've labeled it all Halo 5, because I'm getting ready for the point when Halo Infinite comes in, and then I'm just going to say, so hopefully it should be easy to differentiate between the Halo 5 content and the Halo Infinite content. And to be honest, who knows, I may go back and do content on the older games as well, because you know, like I think a lot of people still play those games. I personally love those games. I mean, my personal favorite game is Halo Combat Evolved, and although I play Halo 5 now to keep current, I you know, that game to me is just perfect, and I would love to go back and revisit it. And so the idea is just so that when the channel grows, all the content can be easily identifiable for anybody who's kind of subbed and looking.
Yeah, of course.
That's a great idea.
So that was just the general idea there. Time will tell.
Can I make a comment on one of your thumbnails that absolutely like made me laugh? You've got all these like Halo themed thumbnails and stuff, and then you've got the 2018 Unfortunate Times thumbnail.
Oh yeah,
with the crying emoji. That really made me laugh.
Yeah, it was a really bad time. And
suitable emoji.
Yeah, I thought, like, you know, there wasn't anything. I was trying to think, like, what would describe how I was feeling at the moment, and I was like,
I mean,
I think
you're not exactly going to put a crying Master Chief, are you? Let's be honest.
no. I just thought, it wasn't really about Halo. It was sort of more about what was going on in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice that it still entertains.
No, so they're definitely. You mentioned Halo CE. When was the? Because obviously, my first time playing Halo CE was like in legit. It's gonna be so embarrassing, but literally probably 2010, which is like super
this
late.
Scrub. This scrub.
Yeah, this noob. You guys
Yeah.
played it really late. So when was the first time you guys played?
Okay, so I was 15 when I played Halo Combat Evolved, and I'm not even sure when it was released. I mean, was it like 2001, 2002?
2001, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2001 in America and early 2002 in the UK.
So maybe it was 2002 or 2003. I'm not really sure. So I'm early 30s at the moment. So when I was 15, it's like 15 years ago. So probably 2003.
I was 6.
Right, right. So
right.
the thing is, right, is that what I think people don't appreciate is that when Halo CE came out, like when you look at the graphics now, you're like, oh yeah, this is rubbish. But like,
I love CE.
I love it. Yeah.
But like at the time, like it was CE was like I'm talking like miles ahead of anything that was on a console. Like I don't know if you guys have ever played Red Faction or Red Faction 2.
No, not off the top of my head. I don't think.
No.
I have, no.
Okay. Well, try to imagine this, right? You've got a PlayStation 2. And the main shooter at the time was Red Faction and Red Faction 2. And the graphics on those is not great. The gameplay's pretty fun, don't get me wrong. It's the small things that really make CE stand out for me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I've just gone on Google and I typed it in. Yeah, the graphics, I could imagine now CE coming out in 2001 and comparing the graphics to this.
Yeah.
Ow.
it was like you got transported to another world. Like but like because my first experience of CE, right, straight up was in game retail stores, and they had like a demo machine. Right? And I was playing on this demo machine, and some idiot had put a warthog in the wall and like jammed it. And so I jumped out of it, and I was walking around this landscape, and I was like, "There's no one to fight. There's nothing to do." And I changed weapons. I had the needler, and so like I didn't really understand what the needler was. I fired it. There was some pink stuff coming out, and I was like, "This doesn't really seem like the game for me." And so I was like, "Well, this doesn't seem very good." So I just kind of walked off, and at a point in time, I wanted to get an Xbox because I wanted some Star Wars games. And I was like, because I was a big Star Wars fan, I wanted Jedi Outcast and the new Obi-Wan game, which is terrible. And I had a lot of people are going to kill me for this, but I got Knights of the Old Republic, which is one that I really, really wanted. And I played it once, and I never played it again. so I know people love that game, and to be fair, I probably should go back and revisit it. But at the time, and then I played Jedi Outcast. I got stuck in a room, and I was like, like I hate it when you get stuck on a video game and like you spend hours trying to figure out how to just get out of a room, and you're like, I need to put this game down. I'm done, sort of thing.
Literally the library on Halo 2. Halo C, sorry, not Halo 2.
But what happened was that this game Halo was being offered for free with the Xbox, and so like they were like, oh, you can get this other game that's free, or you can get Halo CE. Which one do you want? And I was like, well, everyone keeps on going on about how Halo CE is really good, so we give that a go. I know that I tried it in the demo thing, but we give it another chance. And so like you can imagine, I had my Xbox, it was brand new, and I was playing all the Star Wars games, and even though they weren't that great, I was glad that I had it. And then I thought, I finally opened up Halo at the end of the day, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see what this is like, you know what I mean? I put it in, right, and after the like I watched the intro sequence, and I was like, okay, this looks pretty damn good. And then like you get to the bridge and you get the gun and you go through all the grunts and stuff. You pick up your assault rifle and you're straight into the fight, fighting the elites and all the rest. I was absolutely blown away. Like it was just, and the graphics, like everything about it was just so immersive. And the fact that I think the real thing about Halo CE was the fact that the graphics was so much of a jump over other shooters that I was playing, and the story was just so immersive that you were just like, this is amazing. This is the best game ever created, And then you go for, and because it's so perfect, every level is like, I know people say the library, but like compared to the shooters of the day, it was just an absolute masterpiece. And when you were done playing it, you started again and played it again, and it was
obviously the multiplayer as well was like something
unbelievable, unbelievable. The thing that made that game like after you've beaten it on the campaign was like, although there were no bots, like because in a way it felt like a step backwards, because when you had Red Faction 2, you would play that and you could play with multiplayer bots. So you could just fill up the game and you could play for hours on fun. I've still got the games now. You can play it and you can play it and you can just have hours and hours of fun. But when I played multiplayer CE with my brother, like I was only playing it like 1-on-1. I think we was on like, what's that snow level on the first one? I can't remember now. But
I know which one you mean, the big one.
Yeah, the big one. It's huge, and like we couldn't even find each other for whatever. But like, what was amazing was that like the warthog, you threw a grenade at the warthog, and like the grenade exploded, the warthog just flew, or like. It's the little things in CE which really grab you. So like the bullets that are like, the casing that comes out of the gun when you fire. When you reload, there's 2 separate reloads. There's one for a half magazine reload and then one for a full magazine reload. When you look at each other's characters, I know you may take this for granted in modern day games, but when you look at each other and you perform the reload action, the opposite character performs that reload action on screen. When you were playing like Halo 2, when you were playing Red Faction 2, like when say you were fighting someone and they reloaded, there was no animation for that. They just stood still, and like it was all of those little things that were just like, this is a masterpiece, because it's attention to that detail that was so good.
Well, honestly, like one of my favorite like little details in Halo C has to be the sound of the pistol melee.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people say they like the animation, but the sound of it is what gets me. The one where you hit and then like you like flip it in the air and catch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say the animation was the. I think how OP it was too. The obviously the pistol was just absolutely OP. And I think I remember. I think isn't there a story? I think back at Bungie where they're like, the pistol wasn't supposed, or the Magnum, should I say, wasn't supposed to be that OP. But I think one of the developers, like last minute, upped the power
Changed
on
the
it.
code.
To kind of make it a bit more OP. So I think originally it wasn't supposed to also be that powerful, but just last minute someone stepped in, which is quite cool.
Well, that is one of my criticisms of CE, is that the Magnum is so ridiculously powerful. But other than that, I think the game sandbox is almost perfect. And when Halo 2 came out, I remember being severely disappointed with how much it had changed since CE. Like I wanted them to continue what CE had. But just sort of tweak it and made it better.
Forget that as well, that was actually a stage that happened, and that's why I always say like the people who don't like Halo 5 now, I always say to them, well, you have to remember that when we moved from C to Halo 2, people weren't happy with that. When we moved from 2 to 3, people weren't happy with that.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm still not happy. Like, I'd if it could go back to a Halo 1 kind of gameplay, like. This is the thing as well, is that like I think that people's favorite Halo game is always the one that they grew up with, and like because I think because people that have been there from the beginning, they find it maybe a little bit harder because C is so old now. it's hard to put yourself in that shoes to say, oh well, gaming was back in the day, because I don't know what it's like for somebody. I know, Andy, yourself, you said that Halo 3 was your most favorite Halo game.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because that was the first game that introduced you to the series.
Yeah.
And so it's understandable that you would love that game. Just the same as that somebody who got brought up in Halo 4 might turn around and say, well, Halo 4 is my favorite Halo game because I had so many good memories with it. And you could say that I'm sure there's many people that are playing Halo 5 now that it is their first Halo game, and they absolutely love it. And I think ultimately what we have to understand is that, and I get this from being an artist, is that each game in and of itself is a piece of art, and it's like a perfect piece of art, and so you appreciate it on those terms. And as long as you can bring back like a valid, balanced argument to say why this didn't work or that didn't work or whatever, but I'm always one of these people where if that's the way they design the game, I think, well, play the game and enjoy it for the game, and then just move on to the next one. Because I'm willing to bet, like you say, when we get Halo Infinite, people may look back at Halo 5 and say, you know what, Halo 5 was an absolute masterpiece. We just didn't realize it, And I think like
hindsight, wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and for me, I'm not going to turn around and say, oh yeah, everything needs to go back to being CE, or everything needs to go back to being this or that or whatever. I think what we need to do is take the best bits from all of those games and say, you know what made each one of those games fun, and how can we incorporate that into the next game and innovate to make it the next big experience. And
I always find that like I have a kind of a similar argument when people ask me what my favorite Halo game is, because I always said I don't have a favorite Halo game because each Halo game offers a different experience, and with that experience, each game has its own negative and positive points. So you can't necessarily say that a certain Halo game is your favorite, because at the end of the day, they all offered very different Halo experiences. I'm trying to think of specific examples. I can't off the top of my head, unfortunately. But
let's say for example, Halo 2 and 3 offered the dual wielding mechanic.
Yeah.
And then Halo Reach drew with that back and then added the armor mods. And added that as a different mechanic. And so and then obviously Halo 4 Sprint, which is a big topic.
Just a bit. That's happening.
What the thing is, right? What boggles the mind for me, right, is that they added Sprint in Halo 4, and the community kicked off massively, right? So in Halo 5, they're like, oh yeah, so why don't we just add all these other things at the same time in Halo 5 and see how that turns out? I don't really get.
I think the main issue really was trying to balance stuff but evolve it at the same time, because obviously people's main gripe with Sprint in Halo Reach was the fact that everyone who started or chose Sprint in the Slayer had the advantage over those who chose the other armor abilities.
Do you know what? I can turn around and say that Sprint 100% in Halo Reach gives you an absolute advantage, and the reason for that is because I chose Sprint every single time on Halo Reach.
One of those players.
and I would get to the rocket launcher before everyone else, and then the game would be over.
No, honestly, I completely agree with the feedback that people who chose Sprint had the advantage, but I suppose I kind of can view things in sort of a similar way as you were saying with art, because I've done games design for many years, and I can kind of understand the development process a bit more. And looking at Halo 4, and the reason we still had Sprint in 4 was because people liked Sprint in Reach because it was used more than anything else.
I love Sprint. I'm just going to go out there and say it, and people may hate on me, but I think the thing is that when I've been playing a lot of Halo 2 Anniversary, and I absolutely love that game. I think that game is fantastic.
I
And
really don't like Anniversary.
really, I love it. I love it so much. But the thing is, though, is what I also love to be able to sprint in Halo 5. And what I love is I really love the hover ability, and honestly I love the ADS sights as well.
Yeah, I do.
Um, And so I think those additions are really, really good.
I think
But
I was gonna say just quickly. I think it's interesting that because I think you mentioned obviously you mentioned Halo 4, and I remember when Halo 4 came, especially in the multiplayer. Legit, I think most people, I think there's quite a few people anyway who really didn't like it. But now every time I go back, and I was one of those people who wasn't a fan of Halo 4's multiplayer, but when I came back to it maybe a few months ago, I honestly really enjoyed it. It's I think it's aged quite well. In these few years, and I think I've taken much more sort of respect towards it, especially these years. And I think also mentioning kind of taking a bit out of every game, I think that's vital because I think a lot of people in this community, something I see a lot even on my page, is people sometimes just kind of don't offer you feedback. It's sometimes you can just see a lot of hate, and I think it's just really annoying because it just doesn't help. You know, if you're going to be attacking, 343 employees, that's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help them. It's not helping the community. But I just think a lot of people, I think you just need to be a bit more
constructive.
And understanding as well, because it's not easy, especially with the whole MCC thing. You know, it's honestly not easy.
Well, I actually touched on a lot of the points in one of my videos about the unnecessary hate towards 343 Industries, because you know, stuff like MCC, like it. For one, people just need to do the research. If they're going to be blaming 343 Industries for everything, they clearly haven't.
I agree with that.
I mean, it's one of those things, really. People kind of seem to put Bungie on this pillar of like worship for creating Halo, and it's just because they created Halo doesn't mean they do a good job now with Halo. You know, yeah, they might have created the franchise, but it doesn't mean that they would do a good job anymore, especially the way the company's gone.
They are. I mean, like, I don't know much about the internal struggles of Bungie, and I don't know how many employees they got that were originally with them. But I know the whole thing about them firing Marty O'Donnell, and then Jason. Is it Jason Statham? No, have I got that right?
Jason Statham, is it? I think it's Jason Statham.
And he left of his own accord after they scrapped his story.
The entire story as well. I know this is going to be off topic. Like, it was legit. I think he had like the whole story planned out for Destiny 1. And it's just the fact that, and this was like a few months before release as well. This wasn't like a few years. It was like a few months. It's just the whole fact that
it's just ridiculous.
What did they expect, though? They left Microsoft because they didn't want to be controlled and went with literally Satan itself.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? It doesn't make any sense. But I think like at the end of the day, Bungie are not what they used to be, and I mean, I think Destiny is still reasonably good. And this is the other thing that I was going to say, actually, is I know we're getting real off topic here, but in terms of Destiny, after Halo 4, I put this is my thoughts on Halo 4 because I've not really spoken much about it. I think Halo 4 is kind of one of those games that people don't really talk about, but I actually really enjoyed it. And when I started playing it, because I had played Battlefield, because after Halo Reach, I really love Reach, by the way. But after Reach, I kind of went off and played a bit of Battlefield, and then the mechanics of Battlefield kind of fit with Halo 4 quite well because of the sprint function and all of that. And
that's some edgy stuff you're talking about.
I know. But that's the thing, is that I've been a long time Halo player, right? I go over to play Battlefield and I come back to Halo 4 and appreciate Halo 4 because they've accommodated people that have gotten used to those mechanics. So like you're saying about how people want to grab people, they were doing it to grab people from those games, loadouts, sprint, all of that kind of stuff. It became familiar to me. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see how it is. And actually, I thought they did a really good job to, Battlefield-ify Halo, and so it was like a mesh of games that I thought actually could work quite well. I think what they underestimated, like all of the sandbox issues that they had, especially with the bolt shot, because that was ridiculous.
I love that.
I hated the bolt shot.
Who doesn't love being able to have a shotgun? Like people love being ridiculously overpowered. But in terms of fairness, it wasn't right. And what they should have done was maybe more what they did with Halo 5, where they have like a mode for just pure arena purists, and then like a mode for people that want to have like additional stuff. And this is where it gets me with Halo 5, is the fact that you've got all of the Spartan abilities. Actually, I think the Spartan abilities could work, but what they should do is make them like, okay, so this is what I was thinking about Destiny, right? Is after Halo 4, right? Nobody was playing Halo 4, so I eventually stopped playing it, and I moved on to another game, and the game that I moved on to was Destiny. And at the beginning, I was like, this game's amazing, because I could hop between my 360 and my Xbox One, and my account would migrate. And to me, that was like mind blowing. And being able to change your gear on your phone was crazy.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy, yeah.
And like they had worthwhile loot that you would go and get and be like, but there was so much content. And I know that a lot of the guns are probably cookie cutter and watered down and all that kind of stuff, but like you'd be striving for that gun to get that extra sight or that different roll or that different perk, or trying to get the raid guns. Like I remember when I got my Vex Mythic class, I was like over the moon, like unbelievably over the moon. And I just remember having so much fun, and I thought, what, Bungie has done it again. I was like, they've taken Halo's what made Halo work and made it work in Destiny. And the thing that I think that makes Halo work so well is when I was watching a video, they were saying that they wanted to make the Master Chief like an empty sort of shell that you could play. He's just this green guy that goes and beats up stuff and like is the hero that the player can just step into, right? When you think about Destiny is, even when you start Destiny, when you load it up and your ghost revives you, it's actually a personal experience for you. Like you're stepping into the shoes of your guardian, nobody else. And that is what, like, because I'm into art and I wanted to do comics and that kind of stuff. There's a particular person that I that has influenced me, which is Scott Mccloud. I don't know if you've ever heard of Scott Mccloud, but he did a book of how to make comics, and it's called Understanding Comics. And he was saying that one of the things that makes children so absorbed with cartoons is that he believes that on some level your psyche like becomes the cartoon. So like you identify. Yes, so you identify with the cartoon character, and that is why you become so involved when you're a kid.
That's why I'm watching all that anime.
Yeah, that's right. Because you want to be those characters. Your subconscious is linked to those, and so that you're aspiring to be like that. And so that's I personally believe that is why Destiny worked so well when it launched, is because it speaks to you, the player, and it doesn't give you some kind of story where you're talking or you hear, like if you notice in Destiny, you never ever hear your guardian speak, right? Never, right? In Halo, in the very first 3 Halo games, you never ever hear the chief speak when you're playing, and the reason for that is because you, the player, are playing. When you're playing Halo 4 or you're playing Halo 5, you're not the chief anymore. The chief is the chief, and you're talking. Do you see what I mean? Like it creates that detachment.
Yeah.
And I think that the people at 343 maybe don't understand that, or maybe they want to go a different direction.
Honestly, though, like I feel like that the original direction of making you feel like you're the chief and everyone has their own individual experiences. I feel like throughout Halo 2 that was lost, and then by the time we got to Halo 3, it was very disconnected anyways, and the chief was already a separate entity. And to be honest, like because I mean I played in CE as well, and in CE definitely you felt like you were controlling a walking tank, and the chief wasn't really a character; it was you as the chief. But obviously Halo 2 gave the chief like more than double the dialogue, and he became more of his own character. And then once he was a staple for Xbox, it was kind of hard to view it as that anymore.
Yes.
So I was gonna say it's interesting that obviously, because I've never thought about this in the way kind of you just explained, and sort of obviously you become the character in a way, obviously, which is super interesting, because I think I've loved both directions in a way. I think what 343 did, in my opinion, in Halo 4, and I think they gave Chief a more of a sort of this emotional sort of human side. It's something I actually quite enjoyed, to be honest. But in Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3, when obviously you were kind of playing as Chief, and obviously you kind of felt like you were him in a way, I obviously also enjoyed it. It's quite... I've never kind of seen this sort of... or I've never thought about it in the way kind of you explained it with Scott Mccloud as it, and kind of how obviously you become the character, which is interesting, because it's kind of given a whole new perspective to think about it in a way.
Sure, and I think what it does is it creates a powerful association. So like it's a powerful emotional association.
Yeah.
So like for example, when you play Halo Reach and you play Noble 6, you never speak when you're Noble 6, and like when you're playing that final mission and that headline comes up and it says survive.
Oh, I love that mission.
You know, like the emotional involvement that you have with that character, it really feels like you're trying to survive. And then when you see the cutscene at the end and you see Noble 6 die, you're like, oh, I just died. It's like, you know, that is why those. I personally believe that's why those games are loved so much, is because it creates such emotional attachment that you know what I mean? Like you fall in love with those stories. I'm not saying that the other way can't work, like with Halo 4 and Halo 5, but what I'm saying is I don't see why they can't. I think that's what the cutscenes are for. The cutscenes are there to give you that extra level of whatever is happening in the story. But then when you're playing the game, you don't want somebody coming in and going, "Oh no, just stand back while we explain everything." It's like, you know, you want to be that character. That's why you're playing the game, isn't it? Like so it's sort of like I remember watching a video about Devil May Cry 4 about I think it was Yahtzee.
Oh, that game.
Yahtzee was saying zero punctuation when he said that it was like the game that you're not cool enough to play, because there has to be like a cutscene every 5 minutes, like that's getting in the way of gameplay. And I think like there has to be a balance between allowing the player to take over and then allowing the story to kind of just explain itself.
That's one thing Halo 5 failed with doing. It was just so focused on telling this story that it kind of docked out on the importance of discovering the story. It kind of forced it onto you rather than you finding it out.
I'll say on too many people as well. There was like, was it 8 people, 8 main characters? Obviously, you had 4 from Blue Team and 4 from Fighting Osiris, and it's just kind of there's too many characters in the story, or too many main characters.
You're not going to see any of them anymore, so don't worry
about it. They've been shelved. They've been put in the back. But it's just there's too many characters to tell this really sort of immersive story, because obviously everyone was trying to fight for screen time. Even like Luck and Chief were trying to fight each other for like screen time in a way. And it just felt
because they wanted to replace the Chief. That's why. That's what it was.
I think that could have been the original sort of idea, but I just think there was just too much going on in Halo 5. There was too many characters, and I'm kind of glad in Halo Infinite, I think they've already confirmed that we're going back to Chief.
Oh yeah, Chief's the focus. No, my main question is: are they gonna give 4-player co-op 4 Chiefs, or are they gonna have a team? Because like that's the real question that needs to be asked. That's the question.
That is interesting.
We just need the Chief and we need RB to be on the team. That's, you know, if one person can be Chief and one person can be RB again, like Halo 3, then everyone will go mad.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I mean, I just think like co-op definitely needs to make a comeback, like in terms of split screen, because I feel like they really dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's already been confirmed, and I'm quite happy that it's going to be a thing again because
mm,
LAN and playing with your friends in person, it's what Halo like.
Yeah.
It's the type of environment Halo really created.
mm,
I mean, as I say, it's what basically got myself into Halo. I remember I said a few days ago about the playing in school for my first time, and we obviously we were playing split screen. And my first time playing Halo 3 campaign was also split screen. So I think it's all you got to bring it back. I'm glad it is being brought back. But I remember having a friend round, and we tried to play Halo 5. It was just so annoying to sort of have him sitting down behind me, obviously watching the game, when he couldn't obviously pick up a controller and play. It kind of just ruined that
yeah.
sort of
I
moment.
think they misunderstood how people interact, like socially, because like the way that you can sell your game is that say you bring somebody around who's never played Halo before and you say let's play co-op split screen, then that person may play it and be like, wow, this is the most amazing game experience that I've had, and then go off and buy an Xbox and buy a copy. And I think that is important. And just in the same that when I bought my Xbox and I got Halo 5, to learn that I couldn't even do a LAN. Even couldn't do a LAN with the Master Chief collection. Do you know what I mean? Like I bought. You spend money on the next system, and then the next. And it goes backwards, and it's like, and that is what made, like, when we come back to, I was saying about CE with the multiplayer and stuff, one of the things that made CE so great was the fact that we could link up 4 Xboxes and have like 16 people or something in a match playing. That is what made it such a success, because at that time when I guess the internet was not as crazy with the social media as it is now.
Zero memes.
Yeah, zero communication. Like the way that you would have is that people would come round and play games, and like I remember having those LAN matches and people loving it, and then people would want to go off and get an Xbox and get a copy of Halo, and so they could all. Do you know what I mean? It brought people together, and I think like by them not having that, it's removing tools to enable the community to come together rather than bringing them. Because like you could argue that having 100 people in a Spartan company hurts Halo because of the whole like farming issue on Halo 5.
Honestly, like I think this is another kind of topic that 343 Industries gets way too much slack for, though, because I mean, during like Halo 5's development stuff, obviously there was a new Phil Spencer took over, and all the stuff with the Xbox One launch kind of got reversed, and all the stuff, game
remember that.
digital only and being locked to accounts and all that. So I mean, obviously Xbox quite had like a heavy hand in Halo 5's development as well that we don't really get to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think if 343 Industries they did need more time. If they were given more time, they probably would have had split screen in. So I don't like kind of blaming 343 for it.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I just mean a lot of people will do that.
Of course. They don't understand the situation, because I think like especially with Hunt the Lies, I think
Hunt the Truth.
Close enough.
But what the thing is though is that a lot of people are saying that content was cut from the game that they originally had planned to do, and so that they were. But that was more at Microsoft's request than it was that 343 wanted to just sell us a lie. I think they wanted to sell us a really good Halo game, and to be honest, I mean, I can't remember who I was watching, but somebody said that actually, it could be that they're not hunting the Master Chief at all. It could be that they're hunting Cortana or something. Who knows? But like, what I'm saying is that like, I never, to be honest, when I watched the campaign, I wasn't really that angry about it. I thought when I played Halo 5, the only issue that I had with Halo 5, actually maybe 2 issues, is the fact that the campaign wasn't long enough. It was over far too quickly, and what was the other thing? There was another thing.
Well, I know one of the biggest things was the fact that you only got to play as Chief for 3 missions.
Yeah, that's an issue.
That wasn't really a surprise for me, because I knew about it prior to the game coming out. But I'm not going to name names. But it was the way it was kind of marketed and stuff was Microsoft kind of taking the helm rather than just letting 343 take the helm.
Yeah.
It's blatantly obvious by the marketing and by the truth and by various other things that the ending and the story that they provided in Halo 5 wasn't the one they had lined up originally.
Yeah.
I was going to quickly say they clearly needed more time. I think that was. We all knew that. I think like day one we played. I think they clearly needed more time, especially I think when it was released. Obviously, I don't think there wasn't that many playlists as well. I think if it was delayed by half a year or another year, and I think what they did with Halo Wars 2 as well, I think they delayed it by like 3 or 4 months, which I think was a super clever plan, obviously, because I think it just they needed more time, basically.
It needs it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's to be honest, that's why I'm so excited, because you know what, I'm glad that they're taking their time. You know, I think they should take all the time that they need, because I think this game is a make or break for a lot of people.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And if they can pull it out of the bag, like, because what I think I want to see is which I was going to come back to about the whole thing about Destiny and Halo 5, is that what brought me back from Destiny to Halo 5 was, honestly, and you're going to hate me for this, is the is the rec system.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never seen the problem with the rec system. Like, I think a lot of people just misunderstand it.
Well, I think what the issue is let me just start by saying that I don't agree with microtransactions in any game. I don't agree with that practice. But for better or worse, it seems like it's here to stay somewhat. And if we've got to live with it, then that's what we have to live with. But I think there needs to be a compromise on consumer side, and there needs to be a compromise on the corporate side. So what you don't want is a situation where it's greedy, it's manipulative, it's dirty, and it's like, it's going to be all sort of random stuff. Whereas what you want, I think, is where you want a system where customers know what they're getting. That you're getting a fair price for good content, and that if you're willing to buy that content, you buy it. Because you know what I mean. So because the whole thing is to be, and it seems to be on these ones, is to be manipulative, so that the consumers don't really know what they're buying. But I think it needs to be a whole lot more transparent if it's going to exist.
Yes, I was going to say just to put in. I think one game which I've seen that I think does it perfectly is it's quite underrated. Is Titanfall 2?
Yes.
I love that game.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. But like, I think my issue with the rec system now is, personally, I'd rather earn my armor. Like, if armor was taken out of the system, which I kind of doubt it would, because obviously there's so much. If we could, because in Titanfall 2, I think you can buy skins. So if we could buy I think you can buy skins for like your Titan. Maybe if we bought skins for, obviously, our weapons. So I know we get skins in Rex. And obviously, if it was kind of divided, so maybe you earn your armor, and maybe there are certain things you can still buy, like skins or whatever, really. But I think the reason they wouldn't, I think the reason armor would probably stay in the Rex system, in my opinion, is because there's so much of it. And I think if you took it out, for me, there'd be no point of microtransactions. Because I mean, I don't think anyone would really just buy skins, or I don't think there'd be enough sort of financial gain.
People have bought just skins. A lot of the pro teams got skin packs that you had to buy, like they weren't available in red packs. And to be honest, that worked well, because like stated earlier, people knew what they were buying and they didn't have to buy it. It was an extra option.
Well, the thing is, what I like about Halo 5 is that when you unlock everything, you're done. Like, you will play, if you play the game and you play it every day, and you work towards goals or whatever, you will eventually unlock the entire rec system. That is definitive. Whereas when you play other games like Destiny, for example, you could play that game for hours and hours and hours and never get what you want. And that is where that game hooks you, because you're trying to play, and so you're always trying to chase that thing that you may get, but that kind of thing. Whereas with Halo 5, I think it's a little bit better, because once you've, because when you open packs, it's going to give you what you don't have, and then once you've unlocked everything to its fullest, it's done. But when you go on to what was it, World War II? I've not personally played it, but apparently Call of Duty World War II, you get duplicates, and you could just carry on forever and maybe never ever get the things that you want, and
that's annoying.
That's annoying. But what I think with Halo 5, the problem that it's got is that it's still randomized. I personally think what they should do is that they should say, what they should do is amalgamate the best of Reach and maybe like a commendation thing. So what you could do is have a currency system like you do with Halo 5. And because the thing is, whenever I play a match, I like the fact that I'm earning currency. I feel like I'm earning something towards an achievement or something, like an unlock. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm wasted my time. But I think what they should do is they should have it so that an armor can be has like say like a certain amount of credit value to unlock it, but also as well you've got an achievement list to unlock that piece of armor. So you say, okay, I really want this piece of armor. What do I have to do to get that piece of armor? And say you have to do X amount of headshots or X amount of whatever, and then which you could earn, say, in arena, and then to earn the credit value to pay for that suit, you have to go to, say, like, I don't know, Warzone or Warzone Firefight or something to get the rec points or the whatever currency they're going to use to actually be able to purchase that armor. So although there is a grind aspect to that, then there's also a commendation aspect to that as well. And if they had that for every piece of armor or every gun or whatever, it would mean then that that they could make money on microtransactions by buying currency if you were too lazy to play the game and just wanted to get it straight away, but you wouldn't be able to purchase that armor until you had got those commendations to be able to unlock it. So then it's skill-based as well. So it's like you have to do both to get that one piece, and so then it feels probably more like an achievement. I think that might work.
On the system, and it's in Halo Infinite. They'll listen to this video and they'll take
hopefully,
and they'll be like, right, yeah.
Because I just think that if people knew, because like people don't want to have like loads of different armors that they're never going to wear. What you want to do is have.
I literally use 2 armors. That's all I ever use.
That's it. Yeah, like what you want is you want armors that are really, really cool. Like maybe just make the armors really cool and have a few of them, but then make the achievement list, or because they can tweak the currency to however high they want it, depending on how much money they want to try to get from people. But then, if people want the achievement to play that game for a long time to achieve that armor without paying for it, then that option is there as well. And that enhances their game, because then that means players stay with the game and they keep the population count high. So I think that would be a really good move. And so like when somebody rocks up with that cool pistol skin or even a new gun or something like that, what they had to do to get that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a system that would work, but I mean, you know what? The problem is companies are greedy. They just want whatever makes them the best money, and us getting, us getting repeats of things we've already got is going to make us want to buy it again to try and get it again. And it's like,
So a great example being obviously EA and Star Wars Battlefront, wasn't it? A few years ago, and I remember watching I think it was Angry Joe I remember watching his review of it on YouTube. He's a very lively chap, isn't he?
He's a nice guy, actually. I've met him in person. He's a nice guy.
Oh, nice.
I remember watching this review, and I think it was one of like the it's not what they're called, like how your character stands.
Poses,
One of the
like,
poses area, yeah, and they were so lazy. They're all very similar, just like called different names, and I hate that. I just, it's trying to make something a bit different just for the sake of selling it when it's actually not different at all, if you know what I mean. It's basically the same pose, just like a bit higher or a bit lower. It's I think that's the problem. I think many companies have kind of done this where it's just become really lazy and they're just trying to get an excuse, obviously EA being the worst, of just trying to obviously make money whatever way they can. But I think in terms of I'll give credit to 343 in terms of Halo 5. I think everything's quite in terms of the poses. I think there's quite a lot of unique armor in there, which I think that they deserve a lot of credit for.
They have obviously got some talented people working on all of that stuff. Although I know
Except
some
Seeker.
of I was going to say some of these helmets obviously.
no, the helmets
so
are the great. No,
Yeah,
that's Seeker's vital.
Seeker just
Seeker
better.
But it's just I think they do a good job overall. But how much of is Microsoft turning around and saying, look, you need to make X amount of this or whatever so you can make money, because obviously they're interested in it from that agenda. So maybe it's just sort of like a battle of the lesser of two evils kind of thing. But people can make a judgment, but unless they're in that position where they know what's happening, it's hard to judge.
Yeah,
No,
it's one of those things. It's like, unless you know what it's like to kind of work under a company that kind of just calls the orders, and then you gotta kind of. I mean, I feel so sorry for people who work at 343 Industries because, like, Xbox comes up to them, tells them what to do, they do it because they've not got a choice, and then they're the ones that get all the flack.
Yeah.
Even though it was Xbox who was demanding these things in the first place, and it's kind of like, they take like
it's
all
a tough position,
the
isn't it?
negativity. Yeah, it is.
But the thing is, if you look at Microsoft against Activision, like if you say what Microsoft has done to Halo and Activision has done to Destiny, right? What I hate about Destiny is that you have to keep on buying the updates all the time and the expansions, otherwise you get locked out of the content in the game. Whereas with Halo 5, like what I loved about the and this is why I bought Red Packs and I've actually invested into the game and got skins and stuff, is because actually, although they're doing it in a way to try and make money, I think they deserve my money more because they're not alienating the player base from being locked out of content. If I've unlocked some cool guns or I've unlocked some cool skins, I'm still going to be able to use those like a year later on or 2 years later on and get free maps and all that kind of stuff as well.
I think a lot of people, sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I think a lot of people seem to forget the fact that 343 Industries actually offered that as well. Like for the best part of like, I don't know, it was like a year or something, a year and a half after the launch, they were given free content, and it wasn't small content updates. It was like map packs, it was weapon skins, it was assassinations, and all that stuff takes time and effort.
Exactly.
And the fact that they were nice enough to give them out for free just goes to show that as a company they do actually care about the Halo fan base.
Exactly, which is why when I moved over from Destiny, I came to Halo. Halo 5, I thought actually they've pulled it out of the bag and they've made me reinvest my time into their product and their company because of what they had done. And I thought, this is so much better than what they're doing in Destiny. And what I liked about the rec system was that it was familiar in terms of very similar to how how Destiny works. I would say that when you go to the store and you buy, you open your packs, is similar to going to the Cryptarch in Destiny to decode all your engrams. But like it's just a far smoother experience, and you don't ever have to spend any money, and you can still go and play Arena, and Arena's fantastic. So it's sort of like, it's like you say. I think it's more of a pro-consumer kind of game than games like Destiny. And like you say, I think a lot of people forget that all of that was offered. And I know that some may argue and say, "Oh, well, we didn't have big team battle, or we didn't have this, and we didn't have that." But like
There's
you
always
say,
going to be
it's-
something you don't
Takes
have.
time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Compromises always have to be made. And
yeah,
it's just one of those things when you're creating a game. There's never enough time to put in everything you want to put in.
sure.
And if a company turns around and says, "Here's the stuff we couldn't put in, and we're going to give it you for free for the next year and a half," then I don't see
I was
how.
going to say, I would much prefer a finished product. Obviously, Forge being an example. Forge came out, was it 2 months after
Yeah,
Halo 5 release? I'd much prefer a finished Forge than a half-broken Forge. So if they need to take their time, then take their time, really. I think that's obviously the best case scenario. But I think you mentioned Destiny. I think the weird thing about Destiny, I think this happened on Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, is with the DLCs, the first 2 DLCs I think were extremely disappointing. Like they were lacking content. They just weren't value for money. And ironically enough, I've been watching Forsaken, the one which just came out. I'm not gonna lie, I think it looks really good. But the weird thing is, it's the content part of the season pass has been really poor for the last 2 games, and then you've got all lacking in content, and then you've got the content which obviously fans have had to pay. Is it like 40 quid or something stupid? Is obviously the DLC, which is suddenly, what Destiny should be in a way. And I think it's just really annoying that when you pay for a season pass, I think one, you should obviously get the quality back, and it just hasn't happened in terms of Destiny. But I think credit to 343, they've been releasing content, especially with Halo 5 and updates at the same time. So obviously you've got 2 things to do, and it's been at great quality, and I think 2, fans have really enjoyed it.
Yes.
And not just that, they've also done it with Halo Wars 2 as well. And they've had MCC to deal with, so they've had a lot on their plate. And I think the fact that they've treated their community with such respect, and I think they've been quite open as well at times.
Yes, I agree with all of those points.
Yeah,
all of those points I agree with, and I think when you were saying about Destiny and about the DLC, what I like about Halo is that I can come back to Halo, and nothing has really changed too much. Like the firefight is still the same, the war zone's still the same. Like the bosses, I know they've changed it up a little bit, but like you play firefight, if you've invested the time to learn those modes and learn where all the enemies are, you're rewarded for that because you come back and you know where everything is, and you can fit right back in. But when you're playing Destiny, like they change so much stuff every couple of months or something or whatever, and so when you come back, you're like, what is going on? What do I have to do? You have to kind of like relearn everything over again.
And the worst thing I find with Destiny is like it completely makes all previous content absolutely worthless. Every single update they bring out, like if I like go away with like max rank and full gear, and then I don't play again until the next update, and then I play a mission, right? The uncommon weapon that I earn from a normal mob is gonna be higher attack than the exotic, just because the exotic was from last content update. And like that's one thing that's always put me off Destiny, is the fact that it just makes all previous like dedication and work absolutely useless.
I think that's a great point, because like you can't be your character in Destiny in a way, because you always have to upgrade your light level. So if you have some really epic piece of armor, but then you see one armor which is just one more light higher, you have to upgrade it, don't you? Because
they've actually got a system in Destiny 2 for that, where you can, if it's like a rare or a exotic, you can infuse them. But even so, like it's not a great system that they've got in. It just kind of pushes people away from playing rather than to continue playing, which is why I think Halo 5 is got quite a good system. I mean, the hard games to compare anyway is just because they're both first-person shooters, but the way they approach first-person shooters is dramatically different.
But
I think
sorry, sorry,
It's alright.
can I add another point there as well? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah. Go ahead.
modern games seem to have this thing of a progression system, and I would be lying if I don't enjoy there being progression systems. The problem that I have is if the progression system is poor. So I by no means think Halo 5 is perfect, but as we discussed earlier, I believe that they could do a lot to improve it in Halo 6.
Halo
And
Infinite.
Halo Infinite, yeah. But I mean, Halo 4 obviously tries to add in the progression, but I think also the argument against old classic fans and new Halo fans is going to come down to an argument about progression as well at some point. So I think that is another point that could possibly divide fans. But I think
Yeah,
it's a shame.
ranking systems and such have always been something like that.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Is you play those old Halo games because you're like, oh, the progression is the rank is getting better at playing Halo, whereas now the progression is just the amount of time that you play. But I think what they need to do is, as I was saying earlier, is to merge those two together so that the progression is linked to time that you play and the skill that you've achieved.
Yeah.
But that is just my thoughts on that subject.
I mean, to be honest, I find Halo Reach kind of it was well balanced in the fact that you had such high unachievable in a way ranks like the Inheritor rank where only the dedicated and probably only the good players would actually achieve it. So you knew most of the time if you see an Inheritor in the lobby, they were probably going to be a nerd.
An absolute boss, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
was it
obviously,
so wasn't it like 20 million credits to reach an narrator?
it was something ridiculous.
I was like, what the hell? It was crazy. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the obviously kind of going up in terms of a rank, if you remember, the actual names and kind of being called the sergeant and that. I thought that was really cool because I think it makes you feel a lot more special. It makes you feel
like you're achieving something.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Halo 5 lacks.
Yeah,
that,
the numbers. Not a big fan.
Is the fact that you reach level 149 and you're like, oh great, 149. But I get to 150, it means nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you're going from I don't know, a noble to an eclipse. You kind of there feels like there's some progression there, in terms of skill. I know, it's more kind of the player tricking themselves and convincing themselves that that's what it is. But even so, it helps add that level of kind of, I suppose,
epicness.
Yeah,
it's kind of. I'll say it's kind of like you feel like a badass in a way if you obviously if you can go to your friends in school and be like, I don't know, I'm a captain or something. It just, I don't know, you can say with some sort of kind of pride and awe. But if you go to school and you're like, oh, I'm level 130, it just doesn't really mean much. It's a number at the end of the day, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, ranking systems of, as of yet in a Halo game to be perfected because there's not a single ranking system that's worked really in the Halo games. So
I was going to say something a bit controversial. I think with the Halo Reach ranking, I liked it up to a point, but then it got up to a point where I thought it kind of got unrealistic in a way.
Yeah, it became more of a grind than anything.
Yeah, and especially I think when the names being called a Nova. Yes, it sounds epic, but I kind of liked the sort of the military sort of like
the Halo freestyle.
Yeah, the seriousness of it. I kind of enjoyed that because I think that was kind of going up a sort of rank. It was proper, it was professional. But then when it kind of got up to the Eclipse and that, I just thought these aren't names which are used in the army. So I was kind of, I was kind of like, it just didn't make sense, and I thought it got from really professional and serious, and it made you feel epic. And I'm sure it still made you feel epic calling yourself a Nova, but I just thought it just kind of, for me anyway, it just felt a bit.
How dare the rankings in this sci-fi shooter not make sense?
Yeah,
absolutely atrocious.
Pitchforks. Get the picture up. Starlight, Burncast. But yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say that we're probably best trying to wrap this up.
Yes, I agree.
We've
It
waffled on again.
We have
Just
talked
realised.
for a very long time.
It was meant to be a Q&A. I
Screw
think
the
I've asked about
questions.
one question. Yeah.
Through the questions. Who needs questions?
But we've had fun. That's what this is about at the end of the day. About
Yeah.
Yeah,
talking about Halo,
pleasure.
talking about
pleasure.
other games, and just kind of interacting with other members of the community we might not have. So
Absolutely, and I think one thing is being a content creator and just sort of getting, dipping my toes in this kind of thing. It's great to meet new people. Like, I've met so many new people on social media. I've met people in the game, and I just feel like I've become more of the part of the community, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And I know I was saying to you guys earlier about social media being sometimes having its negative points, but I think it's important to note that social media can really have some positive points as well. And as long as you've got those people that are positive and want to try and bring people together, I think there is hope for any community really.
There's hope for the future.
Yeah, most definitely.
Exactly, yeah. And I think, and myself, like, I'm really humbled that you guys want to speak to me and just get my point of view on things, and talk to me about my Halo art. So I really appreciate it. So thank you very much to both
No,
of
it's,
you.
it's great. It's a pleasure. I said, just to kind of carry on your point, I think, especially I think with me in Jordan, kind of the Facebook side of things have been really quiet in terms of the community, as of late, like the last 2 years. So it's just great to kind of talk to more members. It's great to obviously this is something we want to keep doing, because it's just amazing to meet it's amazing to meet new people. And it reminds me of the old days, especially on Facebook, where so many admins used to sort of interact and like play Xbox together. It doesn't really kind of happen anymore. So to obviously kind of have you here and to meet someone new, and obviously, and to obviously enjoy and just to talk about Halo, it's just kind of, it reminds me of kind of the old days when I was from a few years back when, I used to do the same with kind of other admins. It's great to kind of bring that back in a way. And it gives me a lot of hope for the future. Because I think this community needs it. We need
it. It's very encouraging, and I just think you guys should keep on doing what you're doing, because I think you're going to do a great service to the Halo community.
If we get famous, we'll put a nice post out for you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah. But if everyone wants to plug their pages before
Joseph, I'll let you go first.
This whole thing, yeah.
I said, Joseph.
Me. Sorry, I thought you guys were going to.
No,
okay.
We'll go last. It's all good.
Okay. So sorry. So my name is Joe Truemark, and I am the Halo Enthusiast. If you type the Halo Enthusiast into Google, I will come up. Alternatively, you can go into YouTube and just type in the Halo Enthusiast. I'm also on Instagram of the same name, Twitter, which is just Halo Enthusiast. And I think that's all I got at the moment. I do plan to have some more social media going on, so stay tuned, of course. So over to you guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Jordan, do you want to go next? I'll go next.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I always it's really easy to say, and I always mess it up. So it's the world's first Poncho Chief on Facebook. It's also Poncho Chief on YouTube, but of course you'd know that because you're watching this video right now on that channel. There's also my writing blog called The Writing Spartan. I've got a YouTube channel and a Facebook page for that as well. So yeah, on to you, Andy.
Yeah, so I'm LFTF Andy. I've got a community on Facebook called Let's Finish the Fight. I've also got a Twitter, which is at LFTF117. And we've also got Discord. I'm going through all of them, which is LFTF. So make sure to follow us. And yeah, we're just a Halo community, and we can't wait to have you.
So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. All the links for the stuff just mentioned will be in the description below. So if you want to check out any of them, just have a browse and leave likes, subscribe, all that jazz, all that fun. And hopefully we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.